I'm a 29-year-old guy, and for the past 5 years I've been completely single. The reason is simple: my girlfriend just vanished from my life one night and never came back. Since then, I haven't even tried to date or talk seriously to another woman, because a part of me kept holding on to this tiny bit of hope that maybe, somehow, she'd show up again. We'd been together since senior year of high school, almost 6 years by the time she disappeared. Even during college, when we only managed to see each other once or twice a month because of the distance, I thought our relationship was strong and happy, at least from where I stood. On my 24th birthday, I had everything planned out. Friends and family were going to be there, and I was ready to get down on one knee and ask her to marry me. But the day before that moment, she simply vanished. She told me she'd be a little late coming home from work, so I waited all night for her. But she never walked through the door. I blew up her phone with calls and probably sent 100 texts, but she never answered. I even reached out to her family and mutual friends, but most of them either blocked me or brushed me off like I was nothing. Our closest friends had no idea what was going on, and some told me to just move on, like maybe they knew something but weren't willing to tell me. I searched everywhere. Her social media disappeared overnight, almost like she wiped herself off the face of the earth. I don't even know if she had any idea I was about to propose, or if her timing just happened to fall on the worst day of my life. Either way, she was gone, and I couldn't do a single thing about it. I even considered filing a missing person report with the police, but deep down I knew she wasn't missing, she just didn't want to be found by me. Out of desperation, I made dozens of fake accounts to try and track her down online, but it was useless. She either deleted everything or was hiding behind another name, and eventually I had to accept she was untraceable. After months of searching, I was completely drained, both mentally and emotionally. I kept telling myself she loved me, she sure acted like she did when we were together. So instead of moving forward with my life, I clung to this idea that one day she'd come back, or at the very least, explain why she left. I did go on a few dates here and there, but every time I sat across from another woman, all I could think about was her. It got to the point where dating felt unbearable, so I just quit trying. For nearly 4 years, I didn't say yes to anyone, didn't ask anyone out, nothing. I could function normally in most areas of life, but the second I even thought about dating, her face would flash in my head like a giant red stop sign. So I gave up. 5 years of waiting, knowing deep down it was pointless, but not having the strength to do anything else. 3 years ago, I finally started therapy, and that's what helped me process the pain and cope without letting it destroy me completely. It didn't erase her from my mind, but it made life livable again. I know it sounds pathetic, but I truly loved her and couldn't wrap my head around how she just cut me off with zero explanation. But then, just 2 weeks ago, everything shifted. I overheard a conversation between my brother and my mom while visiting her. My brother's 33 now, and he moved to Canada when he was 22. He's built his life there and usually only comes back twice a year. This time though, he's been staying longer because our mom, who's 62, was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. He was supposed to head back weeks ago but decided to stick around. My brother and I have always been on decent terms, though never close. As kids we were tight, but once he left for college, then Canada, the bond faded. Still, since he's been back, we've been getting along, and I honestly enjoyed having him around even if it was under tough circumstances with Mom. Last week, I stopped by my parents' house to drop off some soup for my dad, who had to work late. I've got a spare key so my mom doesn't have to struggle with the door, and I let myself in quietly. Just as I was about to step into her room, I froze. I heard my mom and brother talking inside, and the subject was my ex. She has a very unusual name, one I'd never heard anyone else carry, so when Mom mentioned it, I knew instantly it was her. My mom asked my brother when he was going to bring her and the kids down to visit, since Mom was too old and too sick to travel now. My brother replied that they were still trying to figure out how to do it without me finding out, and that it was too risky to bring them here yet. The second I heard him say they were avoiding me, my chest went cold. I knew exactly who they were talking about. For a moment I just stood there in shock, trying to make sense of it, before quietly leaving without them knowing I'd been there. Once I got home, I logged back into one of the old fake accounts I created years ago. I had always searched for my ex's name, never my brother's, because he claimed he hated social media and wasn't on it. I believed him without question. I never even considered the possibility that he might be lying, or that the two of them could be connected. But that night, I started searching for him too, just to see if I could find anything. I searched my brother using the nickname our parents always used for him, and luckily, well, not lucky for him, he had a public Instagram with about 200 followers. I must have been blocked before because I'd never seen that account. As I scrolled through his photos, my chest dropped. There were pictures of him with my ex and a little kid who looked exactly like her, except the eyes were unmistakably my brother's. I sat there and cried for what felt like an hour. That was the moment it hit me, she'd been there all along, and everyone in my family knew. They'd been covering for him, hiding her existence, and letting me stew in the dark for 5 years. The thought that my parents had comforted me while secretly knowing where she was made me feel sick. I kept replaying the early days when I'd broken down in front of them, they'd known and never told me. That betrayal cut deeper than anything else. As for my brother, I couldn't believe the nerve it took to steal what should have been my life, then come back every year acting like nothing had happened. I felt nothing but disgust and wanted to erase them all from my life. But before I cut them off completely, I wanted them to know I wasn't going to vanish like she did. I wanted them to know I knew. So I sent the same short message to everyone: I know what you did. Why? That was it, one sentence. All I wanted was a reason. They were my family, my home, the people who should have helped me when I needed them. Instead they lied, hid things, and made me look like a fool. I thought hitting send would help, but it didn't. I called a few old high school friends, went to the nearest bar, and drank until I couldn't see straight. I got so wasted I had to be carried home and ended up skipping work for 2 days. It wasn't just the hangover, it was the betrayal, the realization that 5 years had passed and no one thought I deserved the truth or even basic closure. The whole thing threatened to drive me mad. I didn't even check the replies from my family after that first message. I messaged my ex on the Instagram account I found through my brother, since I didn't have her number. She didn't respond for days, and when she did, it was a gut punch, 2 paragraphs saying she was married now, had a child, and that me finding her was inappropriate. She told me she didn't owe me any explanation and that neither did my brother. If 5 years hadn't been enough for me to move on, then maybe the problem was me. She even suggested I go get myself checked. I didn't know what I'd expected, but that sure wasn't it. I wasn't asking her to come back, I wasn't demanding anything except a simple explanation so I could move on. Instead she lashed out, called me creepy, and made it clear I wasn't owed anything. I still don't know if I was wrong for asking, but I regret nothing. I had to know. My family keeps calling, but I don't want to talk to them. A lot of our mutual friends have dropped out of my life, so I don't really have anyone to process this with. So yeah, I texted my ex after finding out she'd been with my brother for 5 years. Update 1, it's been a week since I posted, and I couldn't update sooner because I'd been buried catching up on work I missed. Looking back, I'm realizing that texting her was mostly pointless. The truth is ugly and simple: she cheated on me with my brother, left without a word, and started a family with him. That's the closure I got, as harsh as it is. For a few days after she replied I was a mess, overwhelmed, angry, devastated, but now, slowly, I feel a little clearer. Her response made something click. I dodged a bullet. She and my brother were the problem, not me. I put everything into that relationship, but she chose him, and my family backed that choice. Losing her was always hard, but finding out the betrayal from my own family made the wound so much bigger. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I've been an emotional wreck these past few days. Even my therapist was shocked when I told her what happened. It's been rough. I still haven't replied to my family, and honestly, I don't plan on reading their texts at all. There's no point. Nothing they could say would undo what they did, not after everything. My mom's sick, and I get that, but forgiveness feels impossible right now. The only thing I can do is try to move forward. Update 2. Today my brother actually showed up at my house. He stood outside calling me immature because I wouldn't let him in, claiming he just wanted a civilized discussion. It's been 3 weeks since I overheard that conversation at Mom's house, and during that time, my phone's been flooded with messages from my family, messages I've ignored. As a last-ditch effort, here he was on my doorstep. I couldn't figure out why they were so desperate to talk now. If they'd cared about me even a fraction as much as they cared about him, they'd have been honest from the start. Instead, they acted like my feelings didn't matter until I finally cut them off. He stood outside rambling about how he and my ex fell in love during one of his trips home, and how they tried to resist but just couldn't. According to him, our parents kept it all a secret to spare my feelings, and the plan was to break the news once I found someone new so I'd have support. The logic was insane. Imagine if I had started a new relationship, only to have them dump this truth on me. It would have destroyed whatever I'd built. Hearing that plan only made me glad I never found anyone else during those years. Eventually, I lost my patience. I told him to leave or I'd call the cops. That's when he snapped too, saying the only reason he was even bothering was because our mom was torn up with guilt, and her health was getting worse from the stress of me refusing contact. He admitted that if she weren't sick, he wouldn't care at all. He would have carried on with his life like nothing happened, while I stayed here drowning in the pain. Before he stormed off, he made one last jab, that if not for Mom, he would have flown his wife and kid here just to rub it in my face. I nearly opened the door to beat him bloody, but I held back. Instead, I told him to go to hell, and he hurled curses at me as he left. I tried distracting myself with Netflix afterward, but his voice kept echoing in my head. The cruelty of my own family blows me away. It wasn't enough that they lied, cheated, and betrayed me, now he had to mock me for it too. The only part one don't know how to handle is my mom. As much as I hate what they did, I don't want to carry the guilt of ignoring her if her health takes a nosedive. So maybe I'll visit her when my brother and dad aren't around, just to avoid drama. Update 3. I finally went to see my mom yesterday, and to my surprise, I walked out of there feeling almost victorious. She cried the second she saw me, clung to me, and poured out apologies about how sorry she was. But the tears meant nothing. I felt nothing, numb. I comforted her out of habit, not love. Then she spilled everything. She admitted she and my dad had caught my ex sneaking into my brother's room years ago, when she and I had already been together for 4 years. Instead of telling me, they kept quiet because my brother begged them to. From then on, they covered for them. When I announced I was planning to propose, they warned my brother, and within days, they helped put her on a flight to Canada to avoid me. Meanwhile, they told relatives and friends to stay silent, made sure no one leaked her whereabouts, and even faked vacations by photoshopping themselves into pictures just to keep me fooled. Behind my back, they went to the wedding, the baby shower, and built this whole secret life. They deserved awards for how well they acted in front of me, pretending to be supportive while knowing the truth. And now my mom was confessing all this because she wanted forgiveness. Instead of forgiving, I gave her a choice. If she really wanted to make things right, she and dad would need to change their wills and leave almost everything to me. Otherwise, she could forget about ever hearing from me again. It wasn't something I'd planned, the idea hit me right there while she was talking. But I realized, if I couldn't get the emotional support I'd been denied, I could at least demand something tangible. After pushing hard, she finally agreed, and our family lawyer is coming in 2 days so I can personally watch them rewrite everything. My brother will get scraps. This will be my secret. For years, they kept things from me to protect him. Now, the tables have turned. He'll know what it feels like to be blindsided by your own family. Some might call it cruel or manipulative, but I see it as justice. I don't owe them kindness after what they did. Not one bit. And the truth is, my parents aren't struggling, they're fairly well off, and the inheritance is no small sum. So yes, it feels like revenge, and honestly, it feels good. People always say the best revenge is living well, but this comes pretty close. Even while my mom sobbed, begging for forgiveness, I was cold inside. All the love I had for them evaporated. I told her flat out that my brother is cut out of my life forever, and she should be grateful I'm even willing to speak to her at all, and that's only because she's sick. Maybe I'll change my mind down the line, maybe not. But one thing I know, my brother and my ex deserve each other. And me? I deserve better. I don't need closure from them anymore. I'm finished.